Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to my Attention live stream. It's currently 3:48 in the afternoon. And I repeat, or I haven't even said it yet, this is a Gabe at Attention Live, iPhone 12 Max Pro Safari live stream test. I repeat, a Gabe at Attention Live, iPhone 12 Max Pro Safari live stream test. And Landrew, we have been having problems, goddammit, with the scheduling of YouTube. All right, well, we'll listen into this conversation I'm listening to on Twitter. It's been awesome.
Like since day one, they've sort of cultivated this storytelling, world-building, family-friendly vibe, and are moving in that direction. And they haven't really tried to jump on the bandwagon of another hype trend type thing. Doodles obviously is just doing their Doodles thing, and it's quite powerful and normal.
All right, so now we'll listen to this. Listen to the live stream. Make sure it's all working. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to my Attention live stream. It's currently 3:48 in the afternoon. And I repeat, or I haven't even said it yet, this is a Gabe at Attention Live, iPhone 12 Max Pro Safari live stream test. I repeat, a Gabe at Attention Live, iPhone. All right, done with YouTube. That's awesome. And we will continue the talk in Twitter.
Anything like they're doing exactly what they've said that they were always going to do. And I think the people that got burnt by art blocks the most were the ones that sort of speculated too much, bought things with money that they couldn't afford to sort of lose, or that they couldn't afford to hold long term, or they didn't intend to hold long term. Maybe they were trying to flip, and I think that sure there was a period of a month, two, maybe even three, where you could really get fantastic returns flipping art blocks, but and like even today you can if you get the right ones. But I think for me the sort of approach to art blocks and I guess generative art in general as a medium is very much long term minded, because I believe in the concept and the ideas long term.
Seneca, just jumping back, you said that it was super important for the team to manage the community expectations. I just wanted to get your thoughts on just us generally as NFT consumers, whether our expectations for teams and projects are potentially completely out of whack, or whether that is more on the team to be more distinct at the outset before they mint about what the project is and what it will be delivering.
Oh no, you're 100%. We're awful. We have the worst expectations, the most unrealistic, impossible expectations as a community. As it is absolutely impossible for any project, any team to even come close to matching up and sustaining. It's absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, so it's really, really tough for project founders to have any sort of chance at. You just can't meet expectations because the community has ludicrous expectations. I do think that you can sort of temper them a little bit. You can under promise, over deliver, and that kind of thing. But it becomes dangerous because if you under promise too much, you then maybe people aren't interested and you need to promise a little bit. But yeah, I mean, long story short, the community has impossible expectations in so many respects, and sort of wants things to move at breakneck speeds, and it's just the reality is that good things take time, great things take even more time, and like it or not, we still live in the real world, and a lot of projects that are trying to do things legit, they still have to deal with lawyers and accountants and regulation and all that kind of jargon. And if I'm sounding bitter, it's because I've had about 8 calls with lawyers and accountants this last weekend. Yeah.
Is that related to that? Oh, go ahead, Abel.
I was just thinking now in this current market whether our expectations aren't as high as they quite were in January. Just thinking about something as basic as the floor price. So perhaps there is an advantage to projects launching in this time and slowly building up their community without perhaps the pressure that they would have seen earlier this year of people jumping in and out of projects within half an hour, now a few days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think bear markets expectations are certainly tempered a lot more, and people aren't necessarily expecting to quick flip. And you know, everyone says bear markets are for builders. That's when a lot of building has happened, and so many people who are like devs or builders or whatever founders, they much prefer a bear market or a quiet period, because then they can just focus on doing what they do without the noise of the price speculation and the wild expectations of community members and the community at large. So yeah, certainly it's a double-edged sword, because if you're trying to launch a project during a bear market, obviously it's very difficult much more difficult to sort of mint out and get people wanting to buy your project. But anything else, if you're like planning and building the lead up to launch, if you've already launched and now trying to execute a roadmap and you've already got your funds secured, yeah, I think bear markets are generally better for builders.
Yeah, I think Doodles was one of those that, even though they were incredibly hyped, they came out of that sort of shaky market and obviously did really well from having that quieter time at the beginning. Are there any projects like launching now? Maybe they've just launched that you've got your eye on at the moment?
Good question. I'm so bad at staying on top of new mints these days. Let's see. Chimpers, I think, is a really good project that I'm sure will do well.
Chimpers, Roy, just so you know, Cardno, who's behind the Lay of the Landers account here, is a mod for Chimpers. So we're all
there. You go.
You've got a bunch of Chimpers maxis up here too. So we're on board with that.
Yeah, that's a project that
I would agree.
Can launch in a bearish market. Oh, not really launch. They've been around for almost a year or over a year. I don't know exactly, but and then obviously Goblin Town is bucking all trends and capitalizing on the meme, which is that's always going to happen. There's always one or two like that in bear market.
Yeah, and I think we have we brought someone up, Stefan, the artist formerly known as, and I can't even read the rest, but did you have a question?
Oh, yes. Hey, thank you so much. Huge fan of the Threelanders and Zeneca, of course. Zeneca, I've been following you for quite some time, and your expertise is always greatly welcomed. I wanted to ask you, have you seen any comic books or examples of creative writing in Web3 that stand out to you in a good way?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I haven't had enough time to read most of the comics that have come out, and it's just sad because I'm a fan of comics and I like reading comic books and graphic novels. I just haven't had that time to go through a lot of the projects. I will say I started reading punk comics and I gave up after 10 pages way back when. I hear really good things about Huxley, and so I think that's probably one of the better examples. I read the Martian Premier League comic because I've been sort of helping advise them a little bit, and I think that was really well done. Issue 1. They have two people who work on the Harry Potter franchise as creative directors. They know what they're doing when it comes to storytelling. There's some really good writing coming out, and probably a lot more that I'm not even aware of.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And thanks, everyone, for bringing me up to ask my question. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, man, and hanging out with us, and appreciate your support. Roy, just before maybe we bring up more people and kind of just start, hanging out and shooting the shit, for lack of a better word. Obviously, you're the founder of Zen Academy, and can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, why did you start it? It is kind of your own project. It is, an NFT in itself and a community within itself. And what do you do there? What is it about?
Yeah, sure. So I had the idea for Zen Academy almost a year ago, which is kind of wild to think about. But I think it was June, July last year. I had already been kind of flipping NFTs for a few months, and it was getting a bit, even at that point, a little bit was feeling the burnout, and I realized I didn't want to just focus on flipping for like forever, and I knew that.
Alright, so pause that. Listen to this. Oh. Make sure YouTube's still going strong.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And thanks, everyone, for bringing me up to ask my question.
All right, well, yeah, YouTube's still
Yeah,
going
thanks for coming
good.
out, man.
That's Gucci McGee. All right, continue this space.
Warm to know that some content that I was creating, people were enjoying and appreciating. And so, as opposed to flipping, and which never quite felt amazing. Aside, like, making money is okay, that feels good, but then it's like, well, you're dumping on other people. It's like what's the word? It's like a competitive type thing where it's like you're trying to trade with other people. That's
It's a zero-sum game. It's kind of, if you're winning, somebody else is losing probably, or something of that nature.
Basically, I would say it's not quite. And I've thought about it a lot because there's certainly extents where you can, like, I think everyone can kind of win to an extent because certain people value things more than you, and they value their time more than their money, and they might, etc., like, value a certain NFT more, like a piece of art. Anyway, this is a different. I digress. I decided I wanted to do more content creation stuff and just help on that front, and basically there weren't very many places when it came to like education about Web3, NFTs in particular. There was some decent Web3 stuff, but I thought, well, what if? I mean, I think we've all had that experience where we have like friends or family members that go, "Oh, you're into NFTs. Sounds interesting. Can you teach me? Can you like help me get in?" And it's you take a big deep sigh, right? It's like, all right, where do we begin? And it's a long, often arduous journey where you have to hold their hand a lot, and you say, okay, well, all right, here's some YouTube videos to watch. Maybe you send them some articles. You tell them to follow some people on Twitter, join these Discords, ask you a bunch of questions, and you'll like help them out. And then the first question is, what the hell is Discord? And then you realize where you're really starting from. And so I had the idea, well, wouldn't it be great if like everyone could just, like, if there was a website that just like took everyone through step 1 to step 10, setting up a wallet, understanding what NFTs were, what blockchain was, etc., so that whenever anyone new came to the space and asked this question, people would go, hey, just go to Zen Academy, go to this website. I got really excited by the idea, and then excuse me, after working on it for thinking about it for a couple of weeks, it sort of like dawned on me just how monumental of a task it actually is to create something like that, because there is so much to teach and learn, and figuring out how to do it in a really accessible manner is not easy, let alone the fact that the space is constantly evolving and updating, and you need to maintain and provide current information. So I got a little overwhelmed with that idea and said, maybe I don't want to launch this beast of a website and platform and just totally screw over my work-life balance and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of put a pin in the idea, and then long story short, I revisited it a couple months later and decided to sort of launch Zen Academy, I guess more from the ground up as a Discord server first, with a focus on education and helping people, just more like grassroots, and like join the server, we'll help you out, we'll answer your questions. I'll start creating content a bit by bit and keep focusing on that rather than, and just like dedicate my time and energy to, I guess, just helping people and educating and creating content that helps people, more so than trading and flipping. And yeah, long story short, we launched in November, and it's been 6 months, where that's largely been the focus, and now sort of we're figuring out what our next steps are and building out Zen Academy in a couple of different directions. One, the main focus still being on education and creating like video courses to help people and stuff like that, and then the other is more on the fun side and thinking about like what can we do with the lore and the storytelling about like what universe does Zen Academy exist in? Are there characters? Are there heroes and villains? Do we want to we actually have a creative writer in writing the lore and backstory? Do we want to turn that into an actual comic? Do we want to launch a PFP project? Do we want to just leave it as it is and just like have breadcrumbs of lore around the education? That's the fun part. So yeah, that's
It's
just sorry, question. I just wanted to just quickly jump in there because I haven't said too much. But something you said about that grassroots education from Zen Academy. It just reminded me of when I first got into the space, probably back end of November, beginning of December. Didn't know anything about NFTs, and I remember just going through Twitter and certain things were popping up.
Well, thank you for tuning in to this super long Attention Live live stream. It's been a blast. Everything's worked, so God bless.